Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on January 31st, 2024. There's nobody else here yet, and I got the date right on my own, okay? And I didn't have a good sleep, so I don't know what to account for it. Actually, I had a terrible, I won't go into my net, but sometimes in the morning, if you just feel normal, you're very appreciative. At least I am, if I have a bad night and somehow the day turns out to be okay, that's when you appreciate just being just being normal. Look who's here. Oh no, Michael G. Cox, unbelievable. Travis just dropped by. He said he wanted to see the old crowd. I said, there's no old crowd here anymore. I said there's no old crowd here. So nice to see you, Michael G. Cox. You don't know it, but you are a star on YouTube. There's lots of 1 minute shorts there now, right? And you're really in a lot of them. In fact, I post them on LinkedIn, but I know you guys don't see them there either. Okay. And I'll say in my defense that I think these shorts from the show are fantastic, but obviously nobody else does because I posted them on Facebook, no interest. LinkedIn, no interest. And now I'm posting them on TikTok, where my guess is
very cool.
The result will be the same. But it's not all me. My face shows up on the shorts. I'll just say the last thing. On the YouTube shorts, you don't get to decide what the cover picture is. So even if it's one of you guys talking through the whole thing, it's usually my face because I asked the question first. What are you rubbing your eyes for? Did you just wake up or something like that?
Yeah. A little bit.
No way.
No. Come on.
I don't know.
I've been staring at computer screens all day.
Okay. Well, I'm just starting the show.
Me usually. There you go.
Okay, just starting the show. Glad to see you here. Here's what I was going to talk about. This resume, to start off, this resume writer, she walked in on her husband's Zoom call. She didn't know he was on a Zoom call. She didn't have her shirt on.
I'm going to need the clip.
That's what I was thinking. Not only was I thinking that, I was thinking, wow. I said, can a recruiter pay someone to do that? No.
Okay.
No, if I would pay someone, everybody would come to the show if there was some nice looking.
But who's walking around their house like that? That's odd.
Well, I guess they don't have any kids. Okay, that's my guess.
Still seems weird.
Okay, well, it seems sexy to me. It seemed sexy to me, and it was on LinkedIn, so you could see a picture. You could see a picture of her as well. No. The call. But she said, "This is what I did." Right. Usually, what I've seen people say, sometimes they go into habitual mode, and when they're hanging up on a client or a candidate, they'll say, "Love ya."
I'm sure I've done that at least once.
And they get embarrassed, right? Is there anything else before you want me to go on with some trivia? Anything you'd like to share important? We haven't seen you in quite a while.
Man, no, just been trying to stay busy and keeping the family moving forward and
I see the pictures of your family. They're lovely pictures on Facebook. Love those kids.
Agreed.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course.
I'm keeping them.
Okay. Let me see. What about? Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, here's some other stuff. Since I started talking about sex stuff, what about this idea? This term, stud candidates. All of a sudden, I'm seeing it all over, and I never heard it before.
You're not seeing that. Who's saying that?
Rich says it. Rich says it. Okay.
Oh, Rich, come on.
Yeah, and stud candidate. So I looked up. A stud is a healthy male animal used for breeding. Okay, and or in slang, it's a man who's handsome and attractive and sexy. Okay, and it's got a diverse apparent. I'll go one. There's other uses terms of it as well. I won't go into those. I'm always worried that someone's going to get mad at me for something I say. That's I found in an article on. Online, okay, but so you don't hear this stud candidate? That's not something you run into?
No, not at all. The only time that I've heard it in the past like 12 months has been like we were at a ranch and there was the stud, there was the bull. It's like he gets rented out and they make money off of that guy.
Yeah, it's a bull. Hey, well, you're on the other side of the world, Sasha, but have you ever heard the term stud candidate?
No.
Do you know what a stud is? Okay. Okay, but here's the thing. I thought, well, a stud is an animal that's a male animal that's used for breeding. In slang, it's an attractive, sexy man. Okay, like your husband. Okay, so but anyway, I was telling Michael G. Cox that I keep hearing
You mean
it now.
my ex-husband? I'm a single mom.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Now you know.
Yeah, she's in the market, guys. Beautiful girl. Didn't know. Okay. So here's the thing. I was complaining that this is a new term for me. It's just something new. And then I found on LinkedIn an article from 2014 called "Every Dud Knows a Stud." That's pretty good. How to use referrals to become a top performing company, right? And she says referral hires perform 3% to 15% better than hires from other sources. She said, if you talk to the weakest members of your staff, they're going to know who the best staff members are. It's really obvious. So she goes on and on. She's a headhunter here in Toronto. I never heard of her before.
Okay.
But she makes the point, these referral candidates are so much better than everybody else. But it's hard to get referrals. And in fact, our friend Gavin Johnston, he said, you're losing money if you don't ask every candidate that you speak to for a referral. Now, we know Gavin believes he should nurture the candidates all the time, have regular conversations with them, be their friend. So they want to share with him. But my experience is that you call people out of the blue for a job you're working on, you never spoke to them before, and they don't want to tell you, oh, do you know anybody else for the job? No. What's Michael G. Cox? Come on, referrals. How many do you get?
So first of all, I'm happy to ask for referrals. I can't remember the last time that somebody actually pointed me in the right direction of a solid candidate. Now, when I was internal, and we would have referral bonuses and things like that, the overwhelming majority of the time, what was created was the recruiting staff chasing down candidates that really were just like friends of, but not qualified. And so our initial policy was, we'll speak to any referral. And then that very quickly turned into, if your referral is qualified, and we tried stressing that time and time again, then we'll speak with that individual, because the overwhelming majority of people were just sending us candidates, not even candidates, individuals, in the hopes that those individuals would be considered.
Okay, hold on a second. He was an internal recruiter with a division of a very famous big company. Okay.
IBM, Xerox, sorry.
Xerox. Okay. It wasn't Xerox directly. It was a big division. Okay. So,
yeah. So
were you talking to sales reps inside the company, or were you talking to the warehouse pickers? I mean, they weren't smart.
They would send this to the group email that was basically everybody in sales. And then every now and again, they would send it to the entire, it was like 42 sister companies that it would go out to.
Okay, well, that's not right. What about as an agency recruiter? Do you always ask someone you speak to for the first time, if you present a job, that person's not interested, do you say, is there anybody else you know, or who do you know that's great in this field? What do you say, or do you say anything at all?
Yes, I say, and we would always ask, okay, you're currently at this, let's say it's working in a warehouse, they're in logistics or whatever. We would try and map out the organization as best we could. We'd start asking over and over again, okay, and who works in this, and who do you report to, and who are the individuals on that team, and we would try and gather as many names as possible.
They'll give you that? They don't even know who you are?
Oh no, these were individuals that were sitting in our office, and we were doing kind of like an intake. This was in staffing, and so we're talking to the world and
Okay,
trying to get as many people.
Wrong. He hasn't been here for a while, and he can't understand a
I'm
straightforward
sorry.
question. And not only
Okay.
that, Michael G. Cox, I've got to take something up with you. You see this headset I'm wearing now? What's the sound like?
Sounds great.
Amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
2 years ago, I bought this for the show. I think it was 2 years ago. I used it for a minute. You said it's terrible, and I never used it again. Okay, I suffered through all different.
It might be
I
just
started using it last week, and I don't forget. You know, I keep telling everybody. Toni Morrison said, "People won't remember what you did to them, but they'll remember how you made them feel." I remember what they did. Okay, I remember.
Morrison? Who was it? Wasn't that the guy that said people are strange? People are
That's
strange.
Jimmy, her cousin.
Oh, sorry,
okay?
sorry. Another Morrison.
Hey, Vay, look who's here. It's Nick Livingston, okay? You know what? Since you gave me a crappy answer for that question, I'm
Okay.
going to go to Nick as soon as his face appears on screen.
There he
Nick
is.
Livingston from Honit, Honit.
Pura vida.
Where's the E? Where's the E in Honit? Come on, animal.
It's Honeit.
H-O-N-E. I thought you skipped the E. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
cool. You
Here,
would wake
buddy.
up, okay? Look what I'm getting here. I'm getting
I literally
guys who...
just chugged a coffee before I joined.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay. I
The
noticed
recruiting
this-
animal has like a phobia of dropping that E. He had such
Never. I used to say, I
H-O-N-I-T.
know the ad, the online
Okay,
interview
all right.
platform. Okay, and here's David
Yeah.
M. Marr as well. Everybody's showing up 10 or 15 minutes late. Okay, but that's all right, everybody. I don't care. I could do the show myself.
dock his pay.
Yeah, but okay. Now I will admit everybody should go watch. Honit has a YouTube channel, and Nick just interviewed Michael G. Cox. Okay, so that's the ad I'll do for them, and we will have an ad for Honit in a few minutes. But I
That's
want
not
to
a big
ask
selling point.
Nick Livingston. Okay. This woman wrote an article. It's on LinkedIn. It's from 10 years ago, but I just reposted it. Every dud knows a stud. That's a good title, though. I got to admit, right?
Every dud knows a stud. And this
Yeah.
is in recruiting context or
Yeah,
what
well, it's for
context are we-
referrals. It's so you
Look,
ask
man,
for
you're gonna
referrals.
get yourself in trouble. That HR lady.
It was a woman who wrote the article, not me. Okay.
I
And
know,
so-
but you're the one that's sharing it. Everybody kept, when I mentioned Crapplicant like 12 years ago, it caught legs and everybody was so up in arms. And now somebody's talking about duds, and somebody's gonna come out and say Michael Kellerman calls people duds.
Okay, thank you.
He's
That's the
referencing,
culture we live
he's
in.
referencing
Okay, yeah.
an article. I think we're okay. But so that's referrals. It's a take on, even you can get a good reference out of even someone who you didn't hire or someone who wasn't a good fit for the role. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so hold on a sec. So do you ask for referrals, Nick, when you call somebody up and they're not interested? Do you ask for referrals?
Too soon? No, not on the first or second conversation. If you've got a relationship with folks, maybe, but I don't know. I think, what's strange? I think companies are willing to pay recruiters big fees, yet their internal referral fees are 100th of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even some of the best referral bonuses are say 3K, 5K, yet you'll go outside and pay 50K. Why don't companies double, triple, quadruple their internal
that's an
fees?
interesting thing. You didn't answer my question. Well, you started
Well,
answering it.
I'm
But
avoiding
Michael
your
G.
question.
Cox, he said he's never had good results from, it sounds like, from asking for referrals. And that surprises me because when Michael G. Cox just a few years ago went into his own on an agency after being corporate, he used to do tons of favors for these people who, yeah, he would nurture them, write their resumes, and give them all kinds of advice. These VPs of sales, in the hope that when they finally got a job, they would give him a search. Okay, and so I would call those people all the time and say, "Do you know anybody for me?" But if you're a little older and you know what life is like, you would expect them to shut the door in your face because no good deed goes unpunished. That's often a rule. Okay, so Michael G. Cox isn't commenting. I guess he's letting me run with
But
this.
he did
okay?
that, didn't you? We talked about that, Michael. You were
Yep.
helping people when you had no Rex during the last couple of years, and that turned into Rex for you.
How many?
Absolutely. And
How
there were So that was basically like my number one way of building my business at the very beginning. Because at the very beginning, it was 2020 and pandemic, and everything was shut down. So every VP of sales that I would speak to would say, "Oh, we're not hiring, and we're firing and laying off, and I need to find a job. Can you help me?" And so I didn't do people's resumes for them. I don't know what they have accomplished, but I would help them frame their accomplishments in a way that was easily digestible in that really fast first review, and then that second review, and that helped them. And yes, some of that turned into business.
And do you ever call those people for referrals? I'm trying to
No.
see, lots of
No, I
people
don't.
say, well, so there you go, Nick. So you don't talk when you call someone out of the blue for the first time. You don't ask for that person's not interested. You can't get them interested. You don't say, "Hey, Betty, who's the best?" I don't know, whatever it is you're recruiting. Who's the best salesman?
That's a level 11 maneuver right there. I just can't kind of work it into my talk tracks. I'm sure if you're good at that and you're good on the phone and you can get to that point with someone, I say, why not? But I haven't been able to incorporate it into
Why? You're too embarrassed to take rather when you're not giving? Is that
give
it?
give first, then ask. Give first, then ask. And maybe we are giving by reaching out to someone about a great opportunity. Maybe that
No,
is
they
our
think you're
gift.
pestering them. That's not giving. That's taking their time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Michael, David, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to pump this guy to make it clear. He is an experienced recruiter. He's worked internally for big companies. Where were you with? NBC when I met you? Was that who you were working for? One of the big TV networks?
MTV, Viacom.
Okay. Yeah.
MTV. Yeah.
Okay. And so, in fact, I had a funny story, but I won't tell it now. Okay. But so he's been internal, he's been external. He's talked to 1 million recruiters because he sells Hone It online interview software. And it's probably got 1 million other functions now that I'm not even aware of anymore. Okay. So you're saying that you don't necessarily recommend, as soon as you speak to somebody and they can't get them interested in the job, you don't say pump them for referrals. You don't. That's not a big source of placements for you. Is that what you're confessing to, Nick Livingston, CEO?
You got the spot. Why am I don't know what's going on here. I just was going to come in and say hi here.
Well, you can leave any time, but if you're on the show,
referrals.
I want you to confess.
That'll teach you.
No, I don't typically ask that on the first conversation with a candidate who's not interested in whatever role we're reaching out to them about.
Because you seem
I
like
think
a hustler. You don't want to seem like a crude hustler. Is that it?
But here's it.
I think people are, I get emails all day from people asking. I mean, everybody's asking everybody for stuff, and I'm curious how much people are actually giving to other people, right? Like you got to figure out that win-win, and maybe there's a fee, or maybe they're going to give them a cut, or maybe there's a business transaction in there. But I think just a friendly, we know a lot of people are out of work, so maybe there's that angle. But
okay, you're getting boring. Okay,
Yeah,
David
sorry.
is brilliant.
Here's the thing. Here,
I don't have a
Animal.
good answer.
We'll finish off, Michael G. Cox, and we'll give David and Marr.
I feel like there's a perception that if I ask John Smith for a referral, hey, and I reference what I helped him with, it helped you with your resume, hope you are doing well, saw that you got a new gig, congratulations, was wondering, do you know of any other VPs of sales that are looking for recruiters or help to fill sales gigs? I don't see, I don't think they're going to actually take that next step. Does that make sense? Maybe it's just my perception.
Yeah, but you know what? That goes against all sales principles. They're always saying, ask for who else do you know who's looking to hire a recruiter?
Are they saying it because it actually works, or are they saying it just because we've heard it for such a long time and it never really worked, but hey, it's a great thing to say? I don't know. Maybe I should.
Okay, well, David M. Marr knows. He's been passing notes here that I can see that he says, I do it. Okay, tell us,
Okay,
David
go
M. Marr.
ahead.
The guy won't even show his face. Okay, he blames it on
I'm not sure if I can
technical
trust the guy.
I'm up
Oh,
in
he's
heaven.
always smiling. He's
I'm up
always
in heaven.
happy. Go ahead, David M. Marr.
So from back when I was an agency, all the way even into the corporate side, and when I do consulting, I always ask for referrals. And I think it boils down to your ability to build rapport with people right off the bat. And usually when you're reaching out to someone, if they're not a fit for position or they're not interested, good people know good people and they want to help their friends. And if their friends are out of work, especially in an economy like this, If you're not asking for referrals, you're missing out on a lot of talent that you could potentially place. And another strategy I like to do or have done in the past is if I'm looking for, let's say, a manager role, I'll call on a director and ask, hey, do you know any good managers that, you know, you've worked with in the past that I should be reaching out for this role? And I usually get names because they want to help people, especially former, you know, peers or reports or colleagues or whatever. And it works very frequently for me.
Why do I always feel like I live on another planet from everybody else? Although I've got Nick and Mike on my side this time. Sasha, do you want to get in on this? You ask for referrals?
I'm trying to figure out how to disagree with you. But
Yeah,
Well, I have a theory. I have a
You
theory.
walked into that.
What do you think about like referrals for more recs? Like if someone you've done good business with and you've helped them hire a bunch of people and you've given them great delivery of talent, asking them for other companies that might need hiring services, that's one thing versus asking someone who is actively job seeking. I wonder if people are a little bit
No,
hesitant.
you're not asking. You know, I'm a headhunter. They always say, I don't know anyone who's looking. You know what? I don't call people who are looking.
My question is, do they feel like they don't know anybody or they don't want to throw someone on the bus that they're actively looking and not happy and they're not publicly advertising that? And might, you know, I'm just, might be different from a sales business development perspective than a
you do it in business
referral for
development?
candidates.
Do you do it in business development, Nick? Okay, you don't have to say.
I mean, word of mouth is big. Word of mouth is big for our software and our business. I mean, that's people.
But
people
you're
who
still a
use it
recruiter
talk
as
about
well,
it.
aren't you? Am I misunderstanding? I thought you still.
We provide some talent solutions, so we're helping companies with some RPO and embedded type delivery, but I'm not working on like contingent recs and things like that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. Okay, so before you leave, I want to do an ad for Honeit, but David M. Marr. Okay, so all I have to say to somebody is, no recruiting animal. I'm not interested. I'm not looking. Okay, and I'll say, hey, Billy, do you happen to know any other great salespeople who are in the Greater Toronto area who are I should speak to about this?
Absolutely.
No, I don't. No, they'll say to you, because you're so charming, you're a stud recruiter. It means an attractive, sexy recruiter. You missed that discussion, I guess. You're a stud recruiter, and they'll just spill their guts to you, right? But for some reason, they don't want to do it for me. Okay, and I've got confirmation here that other people.
Maybe it's because you're snarky. You got to kill them with kindness and be nice and professional.
Oh yeah, when you're aware
David,
that
do you divulge the client and the real opportunity and all that stuff on your call before you get to that?
So when I'm
when do you disclose who you're working with?
Yeah, when I'm an agency, I will do it. I'll disclose it. Again, if someone's interested, I'll usually say like type of industry. But when I'm in house, of course, I disclose who I'm working for.
So you got nothing to lose. Yeah.
So if they're not, if you're internal, it's very different. If you're external though, if they're not interested though, they're telling you you're not interested, you're then not divulging the company, yet you're still asking for someone that they would recommend for a company or industry or role that they don't know anything about. And my question is, how are they actually referring someone good if you haven't divulged the client and they're not interested?
Because if you tell them enough about the position, I tell them to the point where they can probably figure it out. I just don't disclose the name. So, you know, industry.
Then they go around you. And they go around you, okay? That's
that always blows my mind. It's like, it's like people can put things together. Why not just be transparent, worth the risk of them building and trusting you?
I'm not agreeing with you on that. You can't. I read sad stories on Facebook every day and I've got some here about recruiters who try to screw, candidates who try to screw the recruiter, okay? And the recruiter has to go chasing his money. Let's do Honeit, HONEIT.com. What does Honeit do? Does it do more than just audio interviews?
I think Michael should just say how he's using it because he's a power user at this point, and he wasn't. Okay. I think we've talked about it in the past, Michael. You were like anti, and then I think now you're baking it into your work.
I'm very anti for sales recruiters. It does not work for sales recruiters. No sales recruiter should use it ever. Just me.
Just him.
So,
he's saving it for himself. Hold on. It's an online. You've got a website, and you communicate with you do the interview through the website. It's recorded. Yeah. It's turned into a transcript, and you can create clips while you're talking.
It's a candidate screening. It's a candidate screening product just for the stuff we do, right? We talk to people, we ask good questions, and now we can share those insights with our clients to help them make better decisions faster.
You know, yeah,
That's
but as usual, I'm doing a better ad than you. I
Right.
mean, it's rambling all over the place. So let Michael tell you, and he talks about some nonsense. Okay? Here's
Okay.
the thing: when you're asking a question, Michael G. Cox, you can tell us if you do this. When you've got a key question, before you ask the question, you press a button. Okay? You let the candidate answer. You press another button. That creates a short clip that you can send to the hiring manager, so she doesn't have to listen to your whole interview, just the key parts. Right? Do you do that, Michael G. Cox?
Yes. And I try and keep those clips to about like 15 to 25 seconds. And really, part of it is what they're saying. Like the question would be, tell me about how you performed against quota recently and historically. But another part of it is it's almost like way back when we would ask for writing samples and things like that. This is like a speaking sample, and it helps them to see or experience a bit of the communication skills of the individual. And then the tool also has like AI built into it, which after all of your questions that you liked move forward, you create a kind of like what you're going to build for the client. And then AI comes in, dissects everything, and then gives you a sample, like a prompt on interview notes. And then I can take that prompt and make my notes. And so it's helping me do that also.
So you're still doing a write-up, text notes after you've sent these little clips. 20 seconds? That's a shocker. I would think they would be a minute long, like a YouTube short.
What I have found is that some of my long-standing clients that review this stuff at about the 20 to 30 second mark, like even when I'm sitting there next to them, they'll be listening to it. And then at like 25, 30 seconds, they're like, yeah, okay, that's enough. And then they go on to the next one. And they go on to the next one. And they
So they're really not looking for the substance of the answer, just the style.
Well, most of that typically happens at the very beginning, and then some people tend to run a little long on the tail end.
Okay. What about this issue that I've always raised with Nick? And Nick, now we got this ad done. You're free to go anytime, okay? I don't want to hold anybody here, okay? But what about this that I've always raised with him? Some of the people you talk to get cold feet about being recorded?
Yes. Some of them struggle with it, and the nice thing is that they'll say, okay, I screwed that up. And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to catch you off guard. We're not lying here. I just want to make sure you put your best foot forward. So let's try it again, and you can basically re-record it.
Okay, but you never ship the whole interview over to the client, just your edited bits. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you assure the candidate that the goofs, the bloopers, when their wife walks in without her shirt on, you missed that, Nick. Okay, we talked about that earlier. That's a real story. Okay. You're going to promise that that's going to be cut out, or at least not sent to the employer, right?
Correct. And I know that Honeit does video also, but I've never used the video.
Oh, you're not using the video. Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, I just do audio.
That's amazing. I mean, it's like we find most folks just like the audio or the phone side of Honeit because that's where nobody's worried about what they're looking like, and that's where the best answers come from when you're relaxed and you're just having a phone call.
As my friend would say, thank you, Nick. I have a friend, whenever I agree with him, he says, thank you. And I've campaigned here many times. There's so many people repeating that baloney advice that 99% or 93% of our conversations, our communications are visual. And the audio part, was only 7%, then we wouldn't need subtitles in a movie if that was true. Okay, these guys only watch.
And for psychology experiments, we know that's a psychology thing, but in HR,
it's nonsense. It's nonsense, and you just proved it.
Yeah.
You just proved it, and it's because they don't have to worry about what they look like or any kind of other visual stuff. It's just intimate conversation. But Michael G. Cox, how do you introduce the idea of Honeit to these candidates? Yeah, let's have an interview. And what do you say? I use this tool called Honeit. Just go to this website, and I'll be recording bits of the conversation. How do you introduce it?
Well, I do that, not myself. So I recorded a video one time, and that video will pop up when they go to my Honeit link. And that's something that they can watch. It's like 60 seconds, and it explains, what we're going to be talking about, and why we're recording, and what the client receives, and I'm packaging this nicely so that we can move this forward quickly. We find that we build trust faster if they hear directly from you, rather than when they ask me, well, tell me about this guy's quota experience. And so
okay, but you were also
What Michael's talking about is his scheduling link. In Honeit,
Yes.
we automate all the scheduling. So just like a Calendly link or some sort of other booking link that most recruiters have now figured out you can save a lot of time by using, you just
Yes.
paste your Honeit scheduling link into your email templates and your InMails. Can't click the link to book a call with you. And Michael has embedded a little video that explains the next steps and why we're going to have a great 15-minute call. And I'm going to represent you and get you on site faster than every other recruiter out there. So
Yeah.
it's just baked into that scheduling link that he pastes into his email.
Michael G. Cox was also a guy who liked to put little videos embedded in his emails that for business development and I think recruiting. Are you are you still doing it on Loom? You're not doing it on Honeit? Because Nick always promoted that as a business development tool as well. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm sure it works nicely for business development. And what I use Honeit for the whole MPC thing. But when I'm reaching out to candidates, I have another video that I record on my screen that kind of takes me through a whole presentation thing, and I'm able to visually walk them through the different segments of the job.
Okay, so you said now you use folks, I'm interested. You use Honeit for MPC, most placeable candidate, your best candidate. You market them. That's how you get your job orders.
Usually like 4 or 5 candidates all in one. I can just send 5 links or one link with all 5 candidates.
And
So
what do
Michael,
you
he
do?
probably creates a project in Honeit. You can create a project. You can add all these great candidates that you've spoken with that you don't have recs for. Select all 4 or 5 of them, put them on a link, maybe click the bias button to hide their names, photos, resumes, and names and the summaries and write-ups. And now you have removed all that PII.
What's in the
but you can,
video? Is that a video? And is it you talking about these candidates, or is it an audio, or is it them talking?
So normally it's just a very super quick email, and it's regarding your open AE role in Houston, and then it's a very quick introduction. Hey, Animal, I see that you're currently working these things. I fill these types of positions. Check out the 5 candidates on this link. Check the tabs, and I'll even create a screen capture picture with arrows telling them where to click.
And when you click it, what's there? How many times do I
you
have
can
to?
hear the highlights from the call Michael had with each candidate.
Okay,
So what
it's
you're
from
doing
people
is,
and my
he's already
notes,
interviewed.
and
it's a
sometimes
real
the resume,
transparent. Yeah.
or like a heavily redacted resume. I can include all of that stuff.
Okay. Anybody want to comment on that? Anybody? Sasha, do you understand what we're talking about? Have you followed?
Honestly, I'm not following. I'm just here.
Okay, no
to make
follow.
this
Okay.
prettier.
I want to tell you something. I know you're not in North America, but Christmas is over, okay? It's
Yes,
February
I
tomorrow.
know. The
Hey,
thing is,
hey.
I'm expecting a Chinese New Year as well. That's in
Oh.
February. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm still working on taking down Christmas stuff.
It's a New Year's tree then. Okay. David and Marr, is there something? David and Marr, he sent me, I accepted this pairing thing.
I don't know. I hit the wrong button. I don't know what it is.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not a stud candidate, okay, that you want to pair with like that, okay? Watch your step with me. I don't know. Stud candidate. Okay, I asked you, Nick Livingston, I bounced that off you already. Have you heard that? Stud? Yeah. Stud
I'm just
candidate.
gonna ignore this.
Don't ignore it.
part of
Rich
the-
Rosen says it, okay?
Yeah,
And
you
if
should
Rich
ignore it.
says it, I have to think that maybe I should be saying it too, okay? Right, and he doesn't shave, and maybe I shouldn't shave as well. I don't usually shave that much, okay? Michael G. Cox doesn't shave either,
I need to.
and neither does Dave. Okay, so we've beat that to death, but I was here's one that I found interesting. Secret searches suck. Everybody who hears about headhunters have heard the story where the boss is trying to replace you but doesn't tell you, and he's got this headhunter out on a secret search. I've never experienced that. I've never believed that I could do it. And this guy said they're ridiculous because it's going to get, if you're in a niche, it's going to get back to the person that you're certain that it's going to be replaced. It's a terrible way to let that person know that that they're on their way out. It's like going on a talk show and telling I don't know who's the current Jimmy Kimmel that you're going to break up with your girlfriend, okay? And she's watching the show, or her friends are, and they tell her. I think Matt Damon did that, didn't he? Okay, so anybody?
What was your question, brother?
Secret searches. Secret searches.
What about them?
Would you take a search where the VP of sales says, look, I've got this weak link on my team. I want to get rid of her, but I don't want to tell her. Okay, so you do the search. Don't tell anybody the company. It's called the confidential search. Would you do that?
That's all searches, and it's got. I usually
no, it isn't all searches. Most searches are filling gaps.
Okay, most searches, I don't find out that they're firing somebody and, hey, don't tell me we're going to get rid of this person. Hey, this is the job. This is the region. Don't tell anybody.
No, he doesn't do that. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Okay, I don't do that.
They don't think it's an issue. Okay, well, I've always thought it was an issue. Okay. In fact,
why is it an issue to you?
Well, it's so common to hear that kind of talk, but even for what Nick was referring to about with a referral, don't give them the name of the company because they're going to try to go around you. It's hard not to give. You're trying to recruit somebody and say, look, it's a really good opportunity, but no, I'm not going to tell you who it's with. That's awkward. At least if you're in a retained search or if you're internal, like David and Marr, you can just say the name of the company. Now, the thing is, I've done that with unretained searches. I give the name of the company and the person says, oh, I know him, the hiring manager. Oh, so-and-so's over there. I know him. And they'll go behind your back. But on a retained search, all the client does is send you the resume, right? They send it back to you. And if they said something nasty about you, the candidate, I found it out from Recruiting Animal, what an idiot he is. I get that letter as well. Yes, it's happened to me. Okay.
Okay.
So there you go.
I'm not surprised.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, I had another one, and she said to me, a real nice girl. She was just too junior. I said, I really, great. You're going to be a great candidate. You're too junior for this. She went and approached him directly. And when I asked her about it, she said, well, can't we still be friends? No, not with me. Find another friend you want to cheat. Okay. What about this as a pitch for business development? And Nick, you got me worried about you. Don't feel too polite. If you said you just wanted to pop in and say hi. Okay. Don't feel you have to stay. Okay.
I'm learning. This is good. I'm like
mute us all. You get back to work.
Did you hear that Michael G. Cox told me not to use this 2 years ago? So it's been sitting on my desk, and today he tells me it works. Okay. I won't forget that too soon. Okay.
Let's go, animal.
Okay.
Time to evolve? Okay.
Good pitch for business development. The person you ask the person for business. No, I don't want to use you. Then you say, look, you've got a very nice company there. You got a lot of really good staff, and it would be a shame if someone came and another company came and started hiring them away from you. How does that sound?
So like a thinly veiled threat.
Yeah, it's what everyone recommends, right? Yeah, it's like
come on, dude. I honestly, I think like 99.9% of the people that they talk about how they say that don't actually say that, and it's ridiculous.
I worked with an amazing CEO once at an early stage startup who his strategy was, I'm going to sign every single agency that reaches out to me and asks for business and not give them any recs, because they're also going to sign the non-compete or non-recruit clause. So
that whole okay, you've signed up with me and now I will not recruit from you, Mr. Company. That's not proper either.
No, but I mean, interesting strategy, right? Like you're going to say, yeah, here you go. Here's the terms.
Hold on, Michael G. Cox. Why isn't it proper? Isn't that standard? As long as I'm recruiting for your company and you're giving me information about all the people in your company that this person is going to deal with, I have to promise I'm not going to recruit people from your firm for a certain amount of time.
That's like a mutual NDA. It's like an agreement.
It is, but there have been lawsuits between like Google, Microsoft, organizations like that basically said, okay, basically what that is doing is excluding all of the thousands of individuals that are highly qualified that work for that organization. And the only reason you're excluding them is because you have a contract to recruit for that organization. Does that make sense?
Well, I think you're talking about Facebook to Google signing something to not recruit from each other.
Yeah, you're
That's
cutting
different than an
thousands of
agency or
qualified
third party.
people off from
Yeah.
getting a job. It's not the exact same when Michael G. Cox goes over to a company. It's not like you're Google, okay?
I'm not Google, no.
Okay, but we've always wondered, about what if you're dealing with a VP of sales or a VP of anything or a director or something. That's your client in the company, and she comes to you and she says, "You know what? I want to move," and you really like her and you want to help her because you really do like her, but you feel like you might be betraying your client that's paying you, the company. So some people, they handle that by saying, look, I won't recruit anybody out of there, but if they come to me, I can't say no. Anybody got an opinion about that? No? What about David and Marr, who's actually inside? Okay. Would that be a problem if an external agency helped the person she was dealing with to move to another firm? Okay, he's muted. He's having lunch or something. Yeah, he pairs with me. Now it says on my screen, just so everyone knows, it's paired with D Marr. Okay,
Through what? Like,
he says he hit the wrong button, and now on my screen it said I'm paired with D Marr. Okay, I hope he doesn't come over tonight. Okay.
ow!
Yeah. Okay. Here's a guy who said how to be successful: charge high fees. Okay, use those high fees to hire good people to do the work, and then use the record of the fantastic searches they're doing to generate more business. Now, there's a guy, I won't mention his name, in my Facebook group. I'm sure he contributes to other groups as well. And that's exactly what he does. He barely does any recruiting himself. He handles all the social media marketing now and has other people doing the work for him. What does anybody think about that strategy? No, nobody. No interest.
I think if you got the clients, if you got the recs right now, that's leverage, right? The sourcing and the filling the jobs is easier than ever. It's the getting the recs is the tricky part.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a business development guy who's hiring hopefully decent recruiters, right?
Okay. What about this? Google is borderline useless as a search engine now because it's cut off. LinkedIn has cut it off from those X-ray searches. Anybody want to comment on that? Any people who are really into X-ray searches? No? Okay. We'll have to wait till Dean comes back for that.
Yeah. He'll show us how to get around it.
Well, what about the email apocalypse? Apparently, you have to check if your email is set up right now, or Google is going to screw it. It's going to make it go to spam. Anybody has anyone checked their email for those DMARC and all those settings? Have you done that, Michael G. Cox?
Yes.
Is
and
it
if anybody's
difficult, or
having
did you get
trouble with
someone?
that, you can go to Fiverr and spend like $50 to make sure that everything's working properly.
And so you hired somebody to check it out for you? Is that what you did?
Yes, some time ago, like 6 months ago or something.
And how did you find the person on Fiverr? What did you do?
You can just type in like DMARC and use those as keywords, and then people will pop up showing that they'll make sure that your email is set up properly if you're on GoDaddy or whoever is hosting, to make sure it's running properly through all.
And how did you select your person? How did you screen them? How did you know who was going to be a good one?
Reviews and number of times that they've received reviews.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Yelp kind of thing with the review system.
I know Fiverr is, but I've never done it. What about this? Can you judge a recruiter, a company, by its recruiter? Okay. This person said, if the recruiter seems lousy, they're not really interested, the interview, they have a bad attitude. They don't really seem welcoming. They're not really interested in you, or maybe they're late for the interview. Okay. Can you judge the company? Is that a tip of the iceberg? Or is it just, that one person? Is there any general rule that you guys adhere to?
Yeah. The general rule is it depends.
So there's no rule. No rule. Nick?
I think, recruiters are on the front line, especially internal corporate recruiters. It's that first conversation with a candidate speaks volumes to that company's talent bar. If it's a good first impression, that recruiter is representing the rest of the employees in terms of, do they hire A players, B players, C players? And
in an ideal world, the powers that be within an organization have taken that into consideration when hiring a recruiter that's having conversations with the talent on the market.
Okay, this guy said, in fact, this is the guy who has the other people working for him. He says, I've known a lot of great companies with shitty HR people. By that, he meant recruiters, okay? So you guys, even Nick was saying that these guys are brand ambassadors for the employment value proposition. But you didn't say, Nick, if that's just making a bad impression, if the recruiter is making a bad impression, or if it actually reflects what's going on inside the company. Do you believe that the recruiter's quality is a reflection of everybody else in the firm?
I believe the entire interview experience is a peek into how things get done at a company. If it's inefficient, if it's redundant, if it doesn't make sense, if it takes long, that is going to be how things get done in that company. It's a peek for a candidate to see what it's like. Just like when a recruiter or hiring team is assessing a candidate, if candidates are quick to respond, they say, "Hi, Nick," comma, right? If they do professional emails, that's how that candidate is going to operate within a professional work environment. So I think the interview experience is both ways. It's a two-way street, but yes, it's a peek behind what it's like to actually work at a company, and it's a peek behind how will a candidate potentially operate.
I would say it's a red flag, but it's not as profound as you're making it out to be, okay? And I don't understand what you said. What is the interview too long? Sometimes, if a guy's got a 2-page interview, you want to go through the career progression, you might ask a lot of questions. No,
I'm talking about more the hiring experience overall. Does it take 12
Oh, you're
weeks
backing out. He's walking away from what he said, everybody. So
No,
if I'm doing an interview with you on the phone, okay, so that if I can decide if I want to send you to the hiring manager or not, and what's okay? How long can an interview be? What's a bad sign? When is it a sign that this is no good?
I mean, are you talking about the top of the funnel phone screen or the recruiter screen? Or are you talking about downstream interviews? What piece of it are we talking?
Geez, yeah, these guys are. He's complaining about the other recruiters, and I can't even.
I don't think you need 45 minutes.
Answer.
I don't think you need 30 or 45 minutes now. I think we're seeing recruiters perform exceptional technical phone screens on the very first call now in 15 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
It's
15-minute
you don't
interviews.
need you don't need 30, 40 minutes on the phone. Cut to the chase, ask incredible questions, and share the answers with people who know a great answer. Boom.
Michael G. Cox, are you with your buddy here? Your
Yeah, it shouldn't take much more than that.
So your interviews are 15 minutes long, never anymore. Is that right?
No, they usually go for about 30 minutes maximum. Max.
We're seeing companies cut their screening calls in half by, instead of asking 15 questions, pick 5 really great questions and cut to the chase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys do okay, really. Oh, geez. And so here's another rule. Sasha, I'm just giving you an option, and I know you like to walk around. So when I see you walking, I shouldn't get nervous, okay? Or just even when you're moving around your seat, it's not a bad sign. But I'm just telling you, if you want to, chime in here, feel free. I know you're listening you're here for the wisdom of the ancients, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
Oh, you got a great beard, Michael G. Cox. Fess up. Okay. Here's another one. Lots of interviews equals lousy culture. Okay. So this guy says if there's so many rounds of interview, that means the company has a culture of fear, and people are just afraid to make a move on a quick judgment. They're trying to protect themselves. What does anybody think about that? Lousy, lots of interviews, bad company. Anybody want to bite on that one?
Yeah, that's not accurate. The fact is that many organizations have a great interview process that's really short, and others have a great interview process that's very long. And so if you're making an assumption based on, well, that's 5 interviews or 7 interviews or 3 interviews or 2 or 1, you can make that assumption and be right less than half the time, most of the time. So
Okay. So if a company is succeed making good hire, so are you saying, Michael G. Cox, that a company can make good hires with 1 or 2 interviews? Are you
Yes.
saying that? Okay.
Yes.
So why can't all companies then make good hires with 1 or 2? Why do they have to have 5, like you just mentioned?
because some of them have been burnt by allowing people into the organization that they didn't properly interview. So the knee-jerk reaction sometimes is, all right, we can't let Nick make these decisions all on his own. We need to have Sasha, and we need to have the gentleman that's paired with the recruiting animal come in and interview also. And so now we have the frontline manager, the HR person, the recruiter did the screen, and we're going to have the VP of sales and also the president. Now we got 6 interviews all happening. And if it's properly coordinated and you're not having somebody come back to the office 6 times and they're not asking the same question, stepping on each other, that can be a good experience also.
Okay. Our friend, I've got a 1-minute YouTube short on this, so I know it.
He
Our
doesn't
friend,
attack me afterwards. It says that was a good answer. That was
no. Our friend Ernie says, if you want to go to a movie on a Saturday night with 8 people, and there's 8 people making a choice, he says you're not going to a movie. Okay.
unless you guys are all like big on Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever, and that's the next one.
Okay.
The
Otherwise,
interview experience looks the way it is with the 7 or 8 steps for your example, because multiple perspectives are important in the interview process, right? You want to have different people assessing the candidate. However, that was we relied on a redundant, repetitive, because for 8 people to be involved, there was 8 separate conversations required. Now, with interview data, it doesn't take 8 people or 8 separate conversations. We can have a couple of conversations with those data and insights shared with the other 6 to make better group decisions.
Okay, in
So
case
that's the
anybody
shift we're
doesn't
seeing.
realize what Nick is as a
I'm just
loyal
talking about
CEO.
what companies
Okay, no,
are doing.
that was valid. That was a
I mean-
good answer to the question. He's talking about his own service. Hone it.
No, I'm talking about interview
You're
intelligence.
talking
and
about
interview data
hone it. Come on.
in
If
general.
you
Well, here's
interview,
the thing.
someone interviews with Michael G. Cox, someone else can watch that interview or hear the highlights. Doesn't have to re-interview him and drag it out to 7
people, and I've had this situation in the past also, where we had, and this was when I was on the outside and also when I was on the inside. And when I was on the inside, as an example, we had 8 people that were, there was a company, let's say it was in Florida, they wanted to have 8 people interview. And it wasn't going to be some like 3 in a panel and then 7 more over here. It was just way too much. And so what we had to do is figure out, okay, why do we need all of these people? Okay, what do those people need to hear? What's most important? And so we start deconstructing the whole thing from the point of what does this person need to do to be considered a successful hire 3 or 6 months from now? Okay, those are the most important things. What do you want to hear about this? What do you want to hear? And what do you want to hear? Number 7, what do you want to hear? And finally, we get all of those things and we say, okay, it sounds like these things are most important. Now, we're going to do a screen, and then we're going to do an interview where we're going to ask all of these questions, and you're going to get the answers to all of those questions. And then we can set up a tool, and somebody says, check 1, 3, 5, whatever. And now you've got a grading tool, but we didn't have to ask that person those questions 7 times, or, well, he can't get this question until he meets with me and I'm the 7th person or the 4th person, and you're cutting it all down.
Okay. And you've lost your candidate by then by dragging it out. Okay, everybody. That's
the
the
first
end
10
of the
minutes
show.
of every interview is, what have you been working on? And that candidate says the same thing to each of those 8 people. It's like, no, let's save that 10 minutes for back in our day to do other more high value
Okay,
tasks.
so but actually what Michael G. Cox said about that interview prep, you get all the questions that everybody has, and one person can actually ask those, 1 or 2 people can ask them, and hone it.
The recruiter can.
Well, the hiring manager is going to
The
maybe,
recruiter
but
can.
Okay, but Hone It enhances that experience there. It can happen without Hone It, but Hone It enhances it. Okay. So everybody, that's how I'm going to end the show. HONEIT.com. Are
Michael.
you rich enough to move back to the United States, or you're still living in Costa Rica?
Still in dirt roads. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. And your hair, I like it a little longer. Okay. I've
Okay.
told you
Work on
that he's got the stud hair of all CEOs. Okay. There he goes. Nick Livingston, Michael G. Cox, the famous
Okay.
Sasha Tesanovic, and
Thanks,
David
Sasha.
M. Marr. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Liv.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Stop recording. See you.